Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to have you here today. We're about to explore an intriguing topic with the title Bricks, Beads, and Bones. In this presentation, we'll take a journey through ancient artifacts, uncovering stories from the past that connect us to our history. So get ready for an engaging and insightful experience. Let's get started. Let's now move on to slide 2 of 49, which covers India's first civilization. Here, we will explore the foundational aspects of the Harappan Civilization, understanding its significance as one of the earliest urban societies in the Indian subcontinent. We'll look at its unique features, its development over time, and how it set the stage for later cultures in the region. This slide helps us appreciate the complexity and sophistication of this ancient civilization, which laid the groundwork for many cultural and technological advancements. As we proceed, keep in mind how these early innovations shaped the social, economic, and political landscape of ancient India. The Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, is one of the most fascinating ancient cultures. It began to flourish along the banks of the river Indus, which is now in present-day Pakistan, around 2600 BC. This civilization was remarkable because it was the largest Bronze Age civilization in the world at that time. Its size and complexity really set it apart from other ancient societies. As we explore this civilization, we'll see how its development along the river played a crucial role in shaping its advanced urban planning, trade, and cultural achievements. Understanding the Harappan civilization helps us appreciate the rich history of human innovation and societal growth in the ancient world. The valleys of the Indus River supported a flourishing civilization that stretched for hundreds of miles, from the majestic Himalayas all the way to the coast of the Arabian Sea. Just like in Mesopotamia and Egypt, early civilizations in India and China began to develop in these fertile river valleys. These areas provided the water, fertile soil, and resources necessary for complex societies to emerge. This connection between rivers and early civilizations highlights how crucial geography was in shaping human history and the development of culture, trade, and innovation. It's fascinating to see how similar patterns of growth appeared across different parts of the world, all centered around these vital waterways. Today, I want to highlight two of the major cities from the ancient Indus Valley civilization, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. These cities are incredibly important because they give us a glimpse into the sophistication and organization of this early society. Archaeologists have discovered more than 1,000 settlements in the region, which shows just how widespread and thriving these communities were. These discoveries help us understand the scale of their civilization and the impressive urban planning that went into their development. As we explore these sites, keep in mind how these findings connect to the broader themes of early human innovation and societal complexity. Public wells played a crucial role in these cities, providing a reliable source of water for everyone. It was a community effort to ensure access to this vital resource. Most buildings were made from mud bricks that were baked in an oven, which made them durable and suitable for the climate. These buildings were arranged in a grid pattern, reflecting careful planning and organization. Both Mohenjo-daro and Harappa were thoughtfully designed cities, demonstrating advanced urban planning for their time. Mohenjo-daro likely had around 35,000 to 40,000 residents, making it a bustling urban center. At its peak, Harappa also had about 35,000 inhabitants. These numbers show that these cities were quite large and sophisticated, highlighting the impressive level of development achieved by the Indus Valley civilization. By 1900 BC, the major part of the Harappan civilization came to an end. It was a highly developed urban civilization, known for its impressive cities and sophisticated planning. Interestingly, their writing system has not yet been deciphered, which adds an air of mystery to their culture. After 1900 BC, most of the key sites were abandoned, and scholars believe this happened due to a combination of environmental changes, possible invasions, or economic factors. Harappa, one of the most important sites, was actually the first discovered by archaeologists, helping us understand this ancient civilization. This discovery was crucial in piecing together the history and significance of the Harappan civilization within the broader context of early human development. Now, let's look at the period of the Harappan civilization, which is broadly divided into three main phases. First, there's the early Harappan culture, which predates 2600 BC. This phase marks the beginning of settled life and the development of early urban features. Then comes the mature Harappan culture, from about 2600 to 1900 BC, which represents the peak of the civilization with its well-planned cities, advanced drainage systems, and vibrant trade. Finally, after 1900 BC, we enter the late Harappan culture, a period characterized by gradual decline, changes in settlement patterns, and a shift in cultural traits. Understanding these phases helps us see how the civilization evolved, flourished, and eventually transformed over time. Let's take a look at some of the most important sites of the Harappan civilization. As we explore these locations, you'll notice that they are spread across a wide geographical area, reflecting the extensive reach of this ancient culture. Starting with sites like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, which are among the most renowned, these served as major urban centers and are often considered the heart of the civilization. Mohenjo-daro, in particular, stands out for its sophisticated urban planning and advanced drainage systems. Moving to other significant sites, Dhalavira and Kalibangan showcase the diversity of settlement types and regional variations within the civilization. Dhalavira, located in present-day Gujarat, is famous for its unique water management system and well-preserved fortifications. Kalibangan, in Rajasthan, provides insights into early agricultural practices. Sites like Lothal and Rangpur highlight the maritime connections of the Harappan people, with Lothal being a prominent port city. This indicates the importance of trade and connectivity with distant regions. Other notable sites include Ganariwala, which is believed to have been a thriving center, and sites like Kot Diji, which predate the mature Harappan phase, giving us clues about the early development of urban culture. Finally, sites such as Balakot, Sudakajandur, and Rakai Garhai help us understand the chronological progression and regional differences within the civilization. Overall, these sites collectively tell the story of a highly organized, technologically advanced society that spanned a vast area, influencing and interconnected through trade, culture, and shared innovations. Understanding these key sites helps us appreciate the complexity and reach of the Harappan civilization. Let's take a look at some of the major developments in Harappan archaeology over the years. Starting back in 1875, Alexander Cunningham reported on Harappan seals, which was one of the earliest mentions of this ancient civilization. Moving forward to 1924, John Marshall announced the discovery of the Harappan civilization itself, marking a significant milestone in our understanding of ancient India. Then, in 1946, R.E.M. Wheeler conducted excavations at Harappa, helping to uncover more about this remarkable civilization. Fast forward to 1960, when B.B. Lal and B.K. Thaper began excavations at Kalibangan, expanding our knowledge of different Harappan sites. In 1974, M.R. Moghul started exploring in Bahawalpur, adding to the regional picture of the civilization's extent. Before that, in 1955, S.R. Rao began excavations at Lothal, which is especially important because of its port city characteristics. Going even further back, in 1925, excavations started at Mohenjo-daro, which is often considered the city that revealed the height of Harappan urban planning. In the 1940s, specifically 1944, R.E.M. Wheeler became the Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India, overseeing many of these excavations. And finally, in 1990, R.S. Bisht began excavations at Dhalavira, which has become one of the most significant sites for understanding the later phases of the civilization. All these developments highlight how our knowledge of the Harappan civilization has grown through dedicated excavations and research over the years, helping us piece together the story of one of the world's earliest urban societies. These early settlements were quite small in size and didn't feature any large buildings, which suggests they were likely simple communities. Despite their modest scale, these cultures are characterized by some distinctive pottery styles that help us identify them archaeologically. We also see evidence of early forms of agriculture and pastoralism, showing that these people were already engaging in farming and animal domestication. Additionally, some crafts began to emerge during this period, indicating a developing sense of craftsmanship and specialization. Before the rise of the mature Harappan civilization, there were several different archaeological cultures in the region, each contributing to the cultural foundation that would eventually lead to more complex urban societies. Understanding these early cultures helps us see how social and technological developments evolved over time in this region. There is evidence of bones of animals which prove that people consumed meat. Terracotta models of oxen, plow, etc. show that people relied on agriculture too. People relied on many plants and animals, fishing, and agriculture for their food. Subsistence strategies of the people included hunting and gathering, cultivation, pastoralism, and distribution. On this slide, we see that the Harappans had access to a variety of foods, both plant-based and animal-based. The bones found at the sites include cattle, fish, fowl, which means birds, sheep, goats, buffalo, pigs, deer, and even bears. These remains tell us that people either domesticated some of these animals or hunted them in the wild. It highlights the diversity of their diet and their relationship with the animals around them. Moving on, archaeologists have also uncovered various grains at these sites. You'll notice wheat, barley, lentils, chickpeas, and sesame are quite common. Interestingly, in Gujarat, they've found millets, which shows regional differences in crops. Rice, on the other hand, appears to have been rare in their diet. All of this points to the fact that the Harappans ate a wide range of foods. They relied on both cultivated plants and wild resources, including fish, which would have been an important protein source. So overall, their diet was quite diverse, reflecting a sophisticated understanding of their environment and resources. This variety of foods played a key role in their daily life and their ability to sustain large settlements. It is very difficult to reconstruct the actual agricultural practices carried out by the Harappans. We don't have detailed records, so much of what we understand is based on evidence and educated guesses. From this, archaeologists assume that oxen were used for plowing, since domesticated cattle were common, and their tools suggest such practices. The prevalence of agriculture is also indicated by finds of grains, which show that farming was an important part of their economy. Additionally, terracotta sculptures of bulls and their representation on seals further indicate that the bull was a significant animal for them, possibly symbolizing strength and fertility. Overall, agriculture was the main occupation of the Harappans, shaping their society and their way of life. Most of the Harappan sites were located in semi-arid regions, which meant that agriculture there faced some challenges. To overcome this, they needed facilities for irrigation to boost their crop production. Interestingly, evidence of an early plowed field has been found at Kalibangan in Rajasthan, which is associated with the early Harappan levels. This field had two sets of furrows that were at right angles to each other, and this suggests that they were growing two different crops together, a kind of early crop rotation or mixed cropping system. It shows their understanding of agricultural practices and how they maximized land use. Additionally, archaeologists have discovered terracotta models of plows at sites in Khalistan and Banwali in Haryana. These models are important because they give us a glimpse into the tools and techniques they used for farming. All these findings highlight how the Harappans adapted their agricultural practices to their environment, and it underscores the importance of irrigation and innovative farming methods in their civilization's development. Processing food in ancient times involved the use of various grinding equipment, as well as vessels for mixing, blending, and cooking. These tools were made from materials like stone, metal, and terracotta, which were durable and suitable for their purposes. It's also likely that water drawn from wells played a crucial role in irrigation, helping to water crops and support agriculture. Interestingly, at the site of Dhalavira in Gujarat, Archaeologists have found water reservoirs that may have been used specifically for storing water to aid in farming activities. Furthermore, at the Harappan site of Shordighai in Afghanistan, traces of canals have been discovered, indicating the use of irrigation systems to manage water and support food production. All these findings highlight how advanced and organized their food processing and irrigation techniques were, which were vital for sustaining their communities and supporting growth. This connects directly to the broader picture of how the Harappan civilization managed resources efficiently and developed sophisticated infrastructure to thrive in their environment. Now, let's take a closer look at Mohenjo-daro. The city was thoughtfully divided into two main parts, the citadel and the lower city. The citadel was the elevated, fortified area, likely serving administrative or ceremonial purposes. Beneath it lay the lower city, where most residents lived and carried out daily activities. One of the most impressive features of Mohenjo-daro is its large-scale town layout. The planning of the city reflects a sophisticated understanding of urban design, with well-organized streets and drainage systems that showcase the advanced engineering skills of the Harappan people. This structured approach to city planning highlights their emphasis on order, sanitation, and community living, which aligns with the overall theme of their advanced civilization. The lower town was actually walled, which suggests it was a protected and important area of the settlement. On top of the platform, several buildings were constructed, serving as a solid foundation for the community's structures. The citadel, on the other hand, was probably used for special public purposes, maybe ceremonies or administrative functions, highlighting its significance beyond everyday life. It was built on mud brick platforms, which was a common construction technique at the time. Importantly, the citadel was walled and separated from the lower town, emphasizing its role as a distinct and possibly more secure or ceremonial space. When we look at both the citadel and the lower town together, we see a clear division, one area for daily life and another for special activities, reflecting the social and political organization of the settlement. This layered approach to urban planning helps us understand the complexity and sophistication of their society. Let's take a closer look at the layout of Mohenjo-daro and its architectural features. The roads and streets in the lower town were laid out in a very organized manner, forming a grid pattern with streets intersecting at right angles. This kind of planning shows a high level of organization and foresight. The settlement was not just built haphazardly. It was first carefully planned and then implemented. This means that the entire layout was thought out in advance, ensuring a systematic approach to urban development. Interestingly, the streets and drains were laid out first, serving as the foundation for the rest of the settlement. Once these were in place, houses were built on the same pattern, which helped maintain consistency and order throughout the city. Another important detail is that the bricks used in the buildings were uniform in size. This uniformity indicates a standardized production process, which likely contributed to the durability and uniform appearance of the structures. Finally, to carry out such a large-scale project, labor was mobilized on an enormous scale. This highlights the organizational capabilities of the city's planners and the community's ability to work together efficiently. All these features, grid layout, plan development, standardized materials, and large-scale labor, collectively showcase Mohenjo-daro's advanced town planning and architectural sophistication. On the ground floor, you'll notice there were no windows along the walls, which was likely a design choice to ensure privacy for the inhabitants. Most of these homes were built around a central courtyard, with rooms surrounding it on all sides. This layout not only provided a private outdoor space, but also facilitated various activities. During the hot and dry seasons, people would carry out essential tasks like cooking and weaving right in the courtyard, taking advantage of the open air. When we look at the lower town of Mohenjo-daro, it offers some great examples of these residential buildings, giving us insight into how people lived and organized their homes in that ancient city. This design reflects a thoughtful approach to privacy, functionality, and adapting to the climate, which ties into the broader theme of urban planning and daily life in the Indus Valley civilization. Many houses in Mohenjo-daro had wells that were accessible from outside, making it easier for outsiders to use them without disturbing the residents. This design reflects the organized urban planning of the city. Every house also had a brick-paved bathroom, which was connected directly to the street drains through a wall. This shows that the inhabitants prioritized sanitation and had an effective waste removal system. It is estimated that there were about 700 wells across Mohenjo-daro, highlighting how water management was a critical part of daily life in this ancient city. In some houses, archaeologists have found remains of staircases that led to the second story or the roof. This indicates that many homes were multi-storied, possibly for additional living space or for other purposes. Lastly, the main entrance of these houses didn't give a direct view of the courtyard or interior. This design choice might have been for privacy or security, ensuring that the interior remained hidden from outsiders. All these features together give us a fascinating glimpse into the thoughtful and practical urban design of Mohenjo-daro's houses. The drains were constructed using a combination of materials like mortar, lime, and gypsum, which helped ensure durability and effective drainage. For sewage from the houses, pits were provided on either side of the street, allowing waste to be directed away safely. Interestingly, every house was connected directly to the street drains, showing how well-planned their sanitation system was. These drains were covered with large bricks that could be easily lifted, making cleaning and maintenance simple and efficient. One of the most striking features of Harappan cities was definitely their well-designed drainage system, which highlights their advanced approach to urban planning and public health. This system reflects the importance they placed on cleanliness and organized living spaces, setting them apart as a highly developed civilization. This slide shows us how the drainage system was maintained in ancient settlements. First, we see that the drains were cleaned at regular intervals, which indicates a good level of planning and hygiene. In smaller settlements, like Lothal, the houses were built with mud bricks, and the drains were made of burnt bricks, showing the use of durable materials suited for their environment. You'll notice that small heaps of materials, mostly sand, are often found alongside the drains. This suggests that the drains were regularly cleared and maintained to prevent blockages. Finally, the drainage channels themselves were very long and provided with intervals that had sump pits for cleaning. All these features highlight how the ancient people prioritized sanitation and maintained their drainage systems efficiently, which was crucial for health and hygiene. This careful maintenance reflects a sophisticated understanding of urban planning, aligning with the overall theme of advanced ancient civilizations. On some religious occasions or public gatherings, buildings like these played an important role in the community. They weren't just functional, they held cultural and spiritual significance. Notice that there were 2 flights of steps, one to the north and one to the south, that led directly into the tank. This design suggests they were meant to be accessible and possibly used for ceremonial purposes. Now, on the citadel, which was the fortified area, some special structures were built, and one of the most impressive is the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. This wasn't just any water tank. It was a large rectangular structure, measuring approximately 11.8 meters by 7.01 meters, with a depth of about 2.43 meters. Surrounded by corridors on all 4 sides, it was likely a central feature for ritual or social activities. The Great Bath exemplifies the advanced planning and symbolic importance placed on water and purification in their society. Its size and design indicate it was a significant communal space, possibly used for religious ceremonies or social gatherings. This structure helps us understand how deeply intertwined their spiritual life and community activities were, reflecting a civilization that valued ritual, cleanliness, and social cohesion. On the opposite side of the main structure, there was a smaller building that housed 8 bathrooms, with 4 on each side of a central corridor. Each bathroom had drains that connected to a main drain running along the corridor, ensuring proper sewage management. Moving to the tank area, we see that it was surrounded on 3 sides by rooms, one of which featured a large well, likely for water access or maintenance purposes. The water from this tank was designed to flow into a substantial drain, which helped in directing the water away efficiently. As for the construction, the tank was made watertight by carefully laying bricks along the edges, reinforced with mortar and gypsum to prevent any leaks. These features highlight the thoughtful design and engineering that went into ensuring the durability and functionality of the entire water management system. Generally, the Harappans did not believe in burying precious things with the dead. Jewelry has been found in both men's and women's burials, which suggests that both genders used ornaments. Sometimes, the burials included copper mirrors, indicating some cultural beliefs about the afterlife. Additionally, some graves contained ornaments, pottery, and other objects, possibly reflecting a belief that these items could be used after death. When we examine these artifacts, we notice that some pits were lined with bricks, which shows a certain level of sophistication in burial practices. Usually, the dead were laid in pits, which was the common method across Harappan sites. Studying burials is a key strategy to understand social and economic differences among people in this culture. By analyzing how different individuals were buried, the objects they were buried with, the construction of their graves, we can gain insights into social hierarchy, status, and relationships within the community. So, in essence, burial practices serve as a valuable window into the social fabric of the Harappan civilization, helping us understand their beliefs, social structure, and values. Let's explore how craft production was a vital part of these ancient centers. Chanhudero, for example, was the hub of craft activities, specializing in making beads, shell objects, metal items, seals, and weights. It wasn't just about production. It was about creating intricate and varied objects that served different functions and purposes. Moving to Nadeshwar and Balakot, these sites were known for their specialized focus on shell objects, indicating a high level of skill and tradition in working with shells. Similarly, drills, tools essential for crafting, have been found at Chanhudero, Lothal, and Dhalavira, showing that specialized tools were crucial for their craft work. These tools weren't ordinary. They were specifically designed for the craft activities, allowing artisans to work with precision and detail. The craftsmanship extended to the objects themselves: bangles, large shell spoons called ladles, and other decorative items. Some of these items were painted, while others had intricate designs etched onto their surfaces. They came in a variety of shapes: cylindrical, spherical, barrel-shaped, and segmented, demonstrating the creativity and versatility of ancient artisans. Beads, for example, were sometimes made by cementing different stones together or capped with gold, adding both durability and aesthetic appeal. The variety of materials used was truly remarkable. Artisans worked with a range of stones like carnelian, jasper, crystal, quartz, and agate. Metals such as copper, bronze, and gold were also used, along with shells, terracotta, and burnt clay. This diversity highlights the rich resource base and the advanced techniques employed in craft production. In essence, these craft activities were not just about making objects. They reflect a sophisticated understanding of materials, tools, and artistic expression, which played a significant role in the cultural and economic life of these ancient societies. They might have sent expeditions to areas such as the Khetri region of Rajasthan, likely to gather copper, and to South India, probably for gold. These expeditions suggest a well-organized effort to source valuable materials from different regions. Additionally, the Harappans established settlements in places like Nadeshwar, Balakot, and Shordaghai, which would have helped them control and manage the procurement of resources. When it comes to getting materials for craft production, they used two main methods. Understanding these strategies gives us a clearer picture of how the Harappans supported their thriving craft industries and interconnected settlements. Overall, these approaches highlight their resourcefulness and the extensive trade networks they developed to sustain their civilization. Now, let's look at how these expeditions played a crucial role in establishing communication with local communities. When explorers traveled to the Khetri region and South India, they weren't just on a quest for materials. They were building connections, understanding local cultures, and facilitating trade networks. These interactions helped us see how interconnected the regions were, even thousands of years ago. Moving on, one of the most fascinating sources of materials was Shortaghai in Afghanistan. It was renowned for its lapis lazuli, a beautiful blue stone that was highly valued for jewelry and ornamentation. Its distance from the Indian subcontinent highlights the extensive trade routes that connected distant regions. Similarly, Lothal, located near sources of carnelian and metal from Rajasthan, served as a significant hub for material sourcing. This proximity allowed for efficient trade and resource distribution, which was vital for craft production and commerce. We also see that Nadeshwar and Balakot were important areas for shell. These coastal sites provided marine materials that were used in various crafts and ornaments, illustrating the diversity of resources exploited by ancient communities. Overall, these locations for material sourcing, whether it's lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, carnelian from Rajasthan, or shells from coastal areas, show us how resource availability shaped trade, cultural exchanges, and even technological development across regions. This interconnected web of material sources was fundamental to the growth of early societies and their economies. Chemical analyses have shown that both the Omani copper and Harappan artifacts contain traces of nickel. This is quite significant because it suggests that they may have come from a common source or region, indicating a link between these distant areas. It highlights how interconnected these ancient societies were, even across vast distances. The main evidence of their long-distance contacts includes items like seals, weights, dice, and beads. These objects weren't just everyday items. They served as trade goods or tokens of exchange, helping to facilitate and signal their connections across regions. Specifically, we see that the Harappans likely had trade relationships with the Oman Peninsula. The archaeological finds, such as these crafted objects and materials, support the idea that the Harappan civilization maintained extensive trade networks beyond their immediate territory. Overall, these findings tell us that the Harappans were actively engaged in long-distance trade, which was crucial for their economic and cultural exchanges. It shows that even in ancient times, there was a vibrant, interconnected world where goods and ideas traveled far beyond local boundaries. Let's look at some other trade connections that shed light on the extent of ancient interactions. Mesopotamian texts mention regions like Dilmun, which is probably the island of Bahrain, as well as Magan and Meluhaha. These names suggest that there were contact points with these distant areas, likely through trade. Interestingly, Meluhaha is often associated with the Indus Valley Civilization, hinting at Harappan trade relations. Supporting this idea, archaeologists found a Harappan jar coated with a thick layer of black clay in Oman, which is quite far from the core of the Indus Valley. What's fascinating is that there are similarities between some other types of objects found at this site, suggesting a network of shared trade or cultural exchange. All of these pieces, texts, artifacts, and similarities, highlight how interconnected these ancient societies were, emphasizing the importance of trade in shaping early civilizations and their relationships across great distances. When a bag arrived with its sealing still intact, it indicated that no one had tampered with its contents during transit. This was a crucial security measure. When goods were sent from one place to another, the opening of the bag was sealed with a rope tied at the mouth, ensuring the integrity of the shipment. The sealing also played an important role in establishing the identity of the sender, so that recipients could trust where the goods came from. To make the seals more secure, a bit of wet clay was affixed onto the knot, and then one or more seals were pressed into the clay, leaving an impression. This method made it very difficult to alter the seal without detection. Seals and sealings were not just about security, they also facilitated long-distance communication by providing a trusted visual cue about the authenticity and integrity of the shipment. They served as a reliable way to verify that the contents hadn't been tampered with, even when the sender and receiver were far apart. Let's take a closer look at some key characteristics of the Harappan seals and script. Firstly, many signs were used in their writing system, with the total number of signs estimated to be around 375 to 400. These seals played a crucial role, primarily used to convey the identity of the sender and to facilitate long-distance communication. If we examine the seals, you'll notice that they often bore the name and title of the owner, acting as a sort of signature or official mark. Interestingly, despite these features, the script remains undeciphered to this day, which adds to the mystery surrounding the Harappan civilization. The inscriptions found on these seals are generally short, not like the lengthy texts we see in later writing systems. They are also not alphabetical, but consist of various signs or symbols. Another notable point is that the script is written from right to left, which differs from many other ancient scripts. Many seals also include a motif, usually an animal, which conveyed meaning even to those who could not read the script, kind of like a visual message or symbol. Typically, these seals have a line of writing, combining both symbols and motifs to communicate effectively. All these features, short inscriptions, symbolic motifs, and the undeciphered script, make the Harappan seals a fascinating aspect of their culture and communication system. Now, when we look at the lower denominations of weights, you'll notice they followed a binary pattern, such as 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so on. This binary system made it easier to combine weights efficiently for different transactions. On the other hand, the higher denominations shifted to a decimal system, which aligns more closely with our modern way of counting and making calculations simpler at larger scales. Moving on to how these weights were regulated, exchangers relied on a highly precise system of weights to ensure fairness and consistency. These weights were usually made of a type of stone called chert. Chert is a durable, cubical stone, often without any markings, which helped maintain uniformity across different weights. Understanding this system of weights is crucial because it highlights the sophistication of ancient trade practices. It shows how early merchants and exchangers relied on systematic methods to regulate trade, ensuring trust and accuracy in their transactions. This balance between binary and decimal systems, along with the careful regulation of weights, was fundamental to the development of economic stability in these ancient societies. Some scholars suggest that there was a single state in the Harappan civilization, mainly based on the similarities we see in artifacts, planned settlements, and other material remains. This idea makes sense because it implies a degree of central organization and shared culture. However, many consider this theory more plausible because it's doubtful that such complex decisions, like city planning and resource management, were made collectively by entire communities. It's more likely that there was some form of central authority or ruling power driving these decisions. On the other hand, some archaeologists believe there wasn't just one ruler overseeing the entire civilization. Instead, they argue that there were multiple rulers, with cities like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa each having their own local leader or authority. This would suggest a more decentralized political structure, where different centers operated independently yet shared cultural traits. Then there's another perspective, which is quite radical. Some archaeologists think there might have been no rulers at all. They argue that Harappan society was more egalitarian, with everyone enjoying roughly equal status and no centralized authority directing societal functions. So, in essence, there are different arguments about the central authority in Harappa. Some see evidence pointing to a single, unified state, others see signs of multiple rulers or city-states, and some believe there was no ruling class at all. This debate is crucial because it helps us understand how this ancient society was organized and how it functioned. After 1900 BC, we see a clear transformation in the material culture of the Harappan sites. The distinctive artifacts that once defined their civilization, like weights, seals, and evidence of long-distance trade, start to disappear. This shift suggests that the vibrant, urban lifestyle was beginning to decline. House construction techniques also deteriorated, and we notice that large public structures, which were a hallmark of the mature Harappan period, are no longer being built. Instead, we see signs of a more rural way of life emerging, often referred to as the late Harappan phase. During this time, there was significant population movement. People migrated towards regions like Gujarat, Haryana, and western Uttar Pradesh, perhaps seeking new opportunities or due to environmental changes. Additionally, key aspects of civilization such as writing, long-distance trade, and craft specialization vanished. These were the activities that once connected the Harappan society to the wider world, and their disappearance marks a major turning point. By around 1800 BCE, most of the mature Harappan sites had been abandoned. The evidence we have shows a clear pattern, the decline and eventual end of this remarkable civilization by this time. This marks a significant moment in our understanding of ancient history, illustrating how complex societies can undergo profound changes and ultimately fade away. The reasons responsible for the end of the Harappan civilization are still largely a mystery. However, researchers have proposed several probable causes. One possibility is an invasion, most probably by the Aryans, which could have disrupted the existing social and political order. Another factor is the overuse of the landscape, which might have led to environmental degradation. Deforestation is also considered a significant factor, as it would have affected agriculture and the stability of the ecosystem. Additionally, the Harappan state might have declined due to the absence of distinctive artifacts like seals and pottery, indicating a decline in cultural or administrative coherence. Environmental changes played a role too, with the shifting and drying up of rivers potentially making the region less habitable. Excessive flooding could have also caused widespread destruction and displacement. Lastly, climatic change, such as shifts in weather patterns, could have contributed to the decline by making farming and daily life more difficult. All these factors, individually or combined, likely played a part in the eventual disappearance of this remarkable civilization. Around 1500 BC, a group of nomadic peoples known as the Aryans began to move out of their homeland in Central Asia. They moved south into northern India, where they encountered and conquered the existing Harappan civilization. This was a significant turning point because it led to the creation of a new Indian society. The Aryans brought with them their culture and institutions, which would shape the foundation of Indian civilization for centuries to come. This migration and integration highlight how cultural and societal transformations often occur through movement and conquest, connecting to the larger theme of how civilizations evolve over time. Let's delve into Cunningham's significant contributions to archaeology. He also collected, documented, and translated inscriptions found during his surveys, which helped us understand ancient scripts and cultures. His main interest was in the archaeology of early history, specifically from the 6th century BCE to the 4th century CE, as well as later periods. Because of his pioneering work, he is often called the father of Indian archaeology. However, sites like Harappa did not fit well within his primary area of investigation, which focused more on early historic periods rather than the Indus Valley civilization itself. To supplement his findings, he used accounts left by Chinese pilgrims who had visited the subcontinent between the 4th and 7th centuries CE, providing valuable historical context. Cunningham began his archaeological excavations in the mid-19th century, marking the start of formal archaeological exploration in India. He was also the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India, which underscores his foundational role in the development of Indian archaeology. So, in summary, Cunningham's work laid the groundwork for understanding India's ancient past, even as he faced confusions and challenges, especially regarding the discovery of the Harappan civilization. So, it is generally assumed that he missed the true significance of Harappa. An Englishman actually gave a Harappan seal to Cunningham. However, he was unable to place it within the familiar time frame he was used to. Cunningham believed that Indian history began with the first cities in the Ganga Valley, so anything outside of that was hard for him to fit into his understanding. Even though Harappan artifacts were found during the 19th century, and some of these discoveries reached Cunningham, he didn't realize how old they truly were. That's because these artifacts weren't part of the itinerary of Chinese pilgrims, and at that time, they weren't recognized as belonging to an early historic city. This highlights how limited the knowledge was at the time and how crucial it is to reevaluate and expand our understanding when new evidence comes to light. Cunningham's findings were important, but they also show us how our perceptions of history can be shaped by what we're familiar with and what we don't yet understand. On this slide, we see that Marshall tended to excavate along regular horizontal units, which means he measured uniformly throughout the mound. However, this approach had its limitations because it ignored the stratigraphy of the site, the different layers that actually tell us about the sequence of historical events. Based on the finds from his excavations, in 1924, John Marshall, who was the Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India, announced to the world that a new civilization had been discovered in the Indus Valley. This was a groundbreaking moment in archaeology and ancient history. Interestingly, Daya Ram Sani and Rakhul Das Banerjee also found similar seals at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, respectively. These seals played a crucial role in identifying and understanding the civilization, as they provided tangible evidence of cultural and economic connections. Overall, this slide highlights the different methods used by Marshall and Wheeler in reconstructing the Harappan civilization. Marshall's horizontal excavation approach was significant, but it also had limitations. Recognizing these methods helps us understand how archaeological interpretations have evolved over time. R.E.M. Wheeler addressed this issue by realizing that instead of digging in straight, uniform horizontal lines, it was essential to follow the natural stratigraphy of the mound itself. This means we need to pay close attention to how the layers of soil and artifacts are actually layered in the ground. By doing so, we can preserve much more valuable information about the context in which these artifacts were found. Unfortunately, when Wheeler initially used a more mechanical approach, some of that contextual information was lost forever. Specifically, all artifacts recovered from the same excavation unit were grouped together, even if they actually came from different layers or periods within the mound. This grouping obscured the true stratigraphic relationships and made it harder to understand the historical timeline. This highlights a crucial point about excavation methods. How we dig directly impacts what we can learn. Proper stratigraphic excavation allows us to piece together the chronological story of a site, providing richer, more accurate insights. This slide ties into our broader theme of how careful methodology is vital in archaeology to preserve context and extract meaningful information. Let's talk about the kinds of materials we find from the Harappan civilization. Organic materials like cloth, leather, wood, and reeds generally decomposed over time, which makes it challenging to find them today. However, more durable materials such as stone, burnt clay, and metal have survived, giving us valuable clues. Among these, we often find pottery, tools, ornaments, and household objects, which help us understand how people lived back then. These material remains are crucial because they help archaeologists reconstruct Harappan life, how they worked, what they used, and how they organized their daily routines. However, when it comes to understanding their beliefs and religious practices, it's a different story. The Harappan script remains undeciphered to this day, so it doesn't help us much in understanding their religion or spiritual life. Without being able to read their writings, we face a real challenge in interpreting the religious aspects of their civilization. So, while material remains are invaluable for understanding their everyday life, deciphering their religious practices remains a significant challenge due to the undeciphered script. This highlights the broader difficulty archaeologists face in fully understanding the cultural and spiritual dimensions of the Harappan civilization. Understanding the function of an artifact is often influenced by how much it resembles items we see in our daily lives. For example, beads, querns, stone blades, and pots are familiar objects that help us interpret their purpose in past societies. It's a way of making sense of the artifacts by comparing them to things we know. The second challenge we face is determining the true function of these artifacts. Archaeologists need to decide whether an object was used as a tool worn as an ornament, or perhaps served both purposes. Sometimes, it might even have been created for ritual use, which adds another layer of complexity. Recovering artifacts is just the first step in archaeology. Once we have them, the real work begins, classifying these finds. Proper classification helps us understand how people lived, what they valued, and how their societies functioned. So, classification isn't just about organizing objects. It's about unlocking the stories behind them. It's a crucial part of connecting artifacts to the broader themes of cultural development and human history. Archaeologists also try to identify the function of an artifact by investigating the context in which it was found. For example, they look at whether it was discovered in a house, a drain, a grave, or even a kiln, like a chula. Understanding the context is crucial because it helps us determine what the artifact was used for and how it fits into the broader picture of past human life. By examining where an object is found, we can gather clues about its purpose and significance. This process of linking artifacts to their context is essential in archaeology because it helps us interpret the past more accurately and connect individual finds to the larger story of human history. Let's look at some of the archaeological findings that give us clues about the religious practices of the Harappan people. First, the terracotta figurines of women suggest that they worshipped a mother goddess, highlighting the possible importance of fertility and motherhood in their belief systems. Next, the conical stones indicate linga worship, which points to the presence of early Shaivite practices or similar traditions focused on fertility and divine power. We also find traces of cotton and dresses depicted on seals and sculptures, which help us understand their dressing style and perhaps their cultural identity. Plant motifs appear frequently and seem to suggest that the Harappans practiced some form of nature worship, revering the natural world around them. Additionally, the discovery of pots, querns, beads, and other artifacts in their sites and graves provides us with enormous information about their daily life, craft, and possibly their religious rituals. All these clues collectively help archaeologists piece together the religious landscape of the Harappan civilization and deepen our understanding of their spiritual beliefs. Let's take a closer look at some of the depictions of deities and structures from the Indus Valley civilization. First, the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro is believed to have been used for ritual purposes, possibly purification ceremonies. It's a large, sophisticated water tank that shows how important ritual bathing might have been for them. Next, we have the fire altars found at Calibangan and Lothal. These structures suggest that fire rituals played a significant role in their religious practices. Moving on, archaeologists have uncovered two important types of structures. One is the seals, some of which depict animals, but interestingly, some animals like the unicorn appear to be mythical or composite creatures, blending features of different animals. Finally, there are seals showing a figure seated cross-legged in a yogic posture, often surrounded by animals. Many scholars believe this could be an early depiction of Proto-Siva, an important deity in later Hinduism. These findings give us valuable insights into the religious beliefs and practices of the Indus Valley people, highlighting the significance of ritual and divine figures in their culture. Let's take a closer look at some important archaeological sites. Balakot is one of the key sites, known for its historical significance. Banwali is notable as a specialized center for shell making, highlighting the craftsmanship of the time. In Haryana, we have one Harappan site, which is Rakhai Garhai. This site is particularly important because it is the most recently discovered in Haryana. Calibangan is another significant site where archaeologists found fire altars and plowed fields, giving us insights into the agricultural practices of the Harappan civilization. Lastly, Harappa is famous as the first discovered Harappan site, marking the beginning of our understanding of this ancient civilization. These sites collectively help us understand the spread and development of the Harappan culture across the region. Let's take a closer look at Mohenjo-daro, one of the most significant sites in the Indus Valley civilization. This is the location where R.D. Banerjee carried out important excavations that helped us understand the ancient urban planning and lifestyle of the Harappans. Moving on, we see a list of key sites including Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Chanhu-Daro, Balakot, and Kotdiji. Each of these played a vital role in shaping our knowledge of the civilization. For example, Lothal is highlighted here as well, which is notable for its dockyard and trade activities. One important point to remember is that Harappa is now located in Pakistan, emphasizing the geographic spread of this civilization. Chanhu-Daro is another key site, especially known for its bead-making industry, making it a major center for craft production. Dhalavira, located in Gujarat, stands out as an important site with sophisticated water reservoirs, showing advanced water management techniques. So to summarize, these sites collectively reveal the complexity and regional diversity of the Harappan civilization, from urban centers and craft hubs to specialized sites like Dhalavira. Understanding these locations helps us piece together the rich history and achievements of this ancient society.